The analysis is part and parcel, so of those 1,000 phones or so which I've extracted, I've done analysis on all of those phones as well.
And then you've also done analysis on extractions, like in this case where someone else did the extraction and provided the information to you and you did the analysis?
Correct, yeah. Whenever I'm helping customers or users of our tools, they may provide me with the extracted data. So the data which I'm analysing is more than the devices I've extracted.
And have you testified previously in courts about what you've done in terms of extracting and analysing information?
Yes, I've testified in multiple courts around the world, approximately 28 times.
Now, you received a copy of the extraction for Lindsay Clancy's iPhone 13, correct?
Correct.
And when you received that extraction, did you also want to know all the specific information about the case and the investigation?
Typically, when I'm working a case, I don't want to know a lot of detail. I'd rather come to my own conclusions based on the data that I'm viewing rather than note the intricacies of the case. All I require is an outline, the date that something happened, the time, who was involved, basic information.
And in terms of the extraction that was done on Lindsay Clancy's iPhone, that extraction, what type of extraction was it?
That's what's called a full file system extraction. It's essentially all of the data which is being extracted from the device that is still live.
And did you use specific tools to conduct your analysis?
Yes, there's the Cellbrite physical analyzer tool created by Cellbrite and also my own tooling, applications that I've been working on for several years.
So you've actually made your own tools that allow you to examine phone extractions?
Correct. There's some tools that I've been working on since prior to joining Cellbrite, tools that as an examiner I decided that I needed to create for myself and make available to others. And I still use those tools to this day.
And these tools that you used, are those the tools that allow you to examine and categorize the information, the data that you find in the extraction?
Yes, the primary point of the tool is to go into the data, decode it, provide it in a way which is easy to filter and search, but also additional tools there that allow you to dig into the data and look at the raw information, the databases, the files, all of the raw information, which is what our tools initially decode.
And did you focus in on a particular time frame when looking at the data on the defendant's iPhone?
Primarily, I knew that the date of the incident was 24th of January 2023, so that was the main focus of my analysis. But some of the data I was aware could be from further afield than that, so I took a look of, I think it was around 3 weeks before that, so early January to late January.
Were you able to look at the health data on January 24th, 2023 that was in the defendant's phone extraction?
I was, yes.
And what is health data? And how does it show up on a phone?
The user of the phone would be able to access the health data via the health application, where the information is broken down to explain how many steps have been taken over a particular period of time, the approximate distance that was travelled, the number of stair flights that were climbed. That data is stored on the device itself in a database. So as a forensic examiner, I can take a look at that database in its raw form, understand exactly where that information is coming from, and present it to the user of our forensic tools in a slightly more forensic-friendly method than the user of the application on the phone would see.
Showing you on the screen here, page 4 of your report. Looking here, we have a section here, heart rate data, is that correct?
Correct.
And you're able to see here, what can you tell about the heart rate data from the extraction?
So heart rate data comes from wearing an Apple Watch or a similar device, not from the phone itself. In the case of this phone, there was an Apple Watch paired to the device, and all of the heart rate data, which is recorded periodically throughout the day, is stored within the health database.
And what was the name associated with the Apple Watch?
So as it says in the third paragraph down, the Apple Watch itself was called Lindsay's Apple Watch.
And here in the report, you're able to show the recorded heart rates throughout the day. How is the heart rate recorded and sent to the phone?
There are sensors on the Apple Watch itself on the rear, which periodically check the heart rate at any given time, and that information is sent to the phone via Bluetooth.
And are you aware of how often an iWatch will record the data and report it to an iPhone?
The actual cadence at which the watch is checking would depend on what the user's doing. So if you were in the middle of a workout, it would be a lot more consistent than just periodically throughout the day. And I actually don't know how often it is throughout the day. If you're not doing any particular workout, there doesn't seem to be a set cadence. Every device I've looked at, it's slightly different.
I'm showing you page 5 of your report, this database of the heart rates. For example, in several locations, there'll be a heart rate report, maybe a few seconds in between them, and others there's 7 or 8 minutes in between the heart rate report. Is that what you're talking about, how it varies depending on what you're doing at that point in time?
Yes, this is typical from what you see when you look at the database. The timestamps are never consistently at a recognizable cadence.
And the highlights in green, what do those represent?
So I actually tried to just highlight some of the high points for the day. I realized a few days ago while reviewing this, there was records there that show a high of 123 and 122, which I had not highlighted.
And that's right there, right below, right
Correct.
around 1146.
Yes.
And what was the last time a heart rate was reported from the watch to the defendant's phone?
So the last heart rate recorded was at 17:23:52, so 23 minutes past 5 in the afternoon, with a heart rate of 57 beats per minute.
What was the average heart rate for the day for the defendant's phone?
There was a range of heart rates going between as low as I believe around 50 and as high as around 122. On average, it was around high 80s, early 90s.
And so at 5:23 p.m., the last recording of her heart rate was 57?
Correct.
And there aren't any further heart rates reported to the phone after that point, correct?
That's correct.
And what are some of the reasons why a watch would no longer be reporting a heart rate to the phone?
If the watch was taken off, if the watch was turned off.
If the battery died?
The battery was dead, yes.
Okay. You also mentioned flight climb data. What is that?
Flight climb is information which the Apple Health application stores every time it detects that you walk up a flight of stairs. So a flight of stairs would be considered either a 3-meter or 10-foot incline over 16 steps. So the device has detected that both the altitude has changed by 10 feet and there were steps being walked at the same time.
So there's 2 factors being considered there: the steps that your watch monitors as you walk, and then the altitude. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what is it? Is it GPS or something that's keeping track of your altitude?
The altitude is being monitored by a barometer or an altimeter, which is inside the device, just measuring for differences in air pressure.
And this information, the flight climb data, can that be monitored by both a watch and your phone if you have it on you?
It is. Both devices have got the barometers built in. Both devices can monitor flight climb events.
Can anything simulate or kind of fake out the watch or the phone into thinking that a flight of stairs is being climbed when it's not?
There are some circumstances where that can happen. They're typically quite rare, but it can happen.
Is an example of that being in a car and going up a hill? Correct,
yes. If there is movement which the device can mistake for steps at the same time as the incline is being driven, then that could accidentally record a flight climb.
But if a person's not in a car and is in their home, then it would be flights climbed, not hills being driven, correct?
Correct. If the person is in a house and there are flight climbs being recorded, then the only rational explanation is that the person was climbing stairs.
How is the data in terms of flight climb data, how is that data displayed? Or in the health data itself?
Within the application or within the forensic tool?
Within the forensic tool.
Okay. So within the forensic tool, we break down, or within Physical Analyzer, we break down the health data into hour segments. So for an hour, we may say that there are 3 flight climbs. And then it's up to the user to dig in a little further. They can select that 1 hour and then see how that activity breaks down over the hour. So you would see that there were 2 flight climbs that occurred at 10 minutes after the hour, and then another flight climb occurred later on.
So showing you page 6 of your report here. The top box here, is that showing the general hour data where 3 flights have been climbed?
Correct. So in this case, the user is looking at a time period between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. And the health data that's been pulled from the database has been aggregated. And it tells you that there's 98 samples being considered. The maximum heart rate during that hour-long period was 108. The distance traveled was approximately 759 meters. And there were 5 flights climbed within that hour.
And then below that, you break that down a little further, correct?
Correct. So this is further down the screen in the interface, where we can see an actual time of 10:17:27, where there's 2 flights climbed. And again, another record at 10:17:28, where there are 2 flights climbed, and then a further flight climb at 10:49.
And then going down to the bottom here, this table, what are we seeing here in this table?
So you may have realized in the slide above where there was 2 flight climbs at 17 seconds past and 2 flight climbs at 18 seconds past. That's an unrealistic measurement. It's because one of those measurements comes from the phone and one comes from the watch. This table breaks it down to say which of these records came from the watch and which came from the phone, because there are some which overlap.
So what you're saying is the prior table, it showed the 4 flights of stairs being climbed at the same time within seconds, which isn't rational. But this breaks it down to show some of that data is coming from the watch and some of it's coming from the phone, correct?
Correct. So if we look at records 4 and 5 here, for example, we can see a start time of 10:17:27 and an end time of 10:27:06, where the watch recorded 2 flight climbs. And then 1 second later, a start time, and 2 seconds later for the end time, we see the watch also detected 2 flight climbs. This is just the same 2 flight climb events that happened, but both devices recorded those flight climbs with slightly different timestamps.
And that will happen if I'm wearing my watch and I have my phone in my pocket and I go up the stairs?
That's correct.
Did you do something to compare these times and make a table where where you ignored or disregarded the double entries?
I did. I tried to correlate and discard all of the duplicate information. So where there was an event of a flight climb that was recorded on the watch and the phone, rather than provide information that said there was 2 flight climbs, I would ignore one of them and limit it to just the ones which we could prove happened.
And that's displayed here in this chart at the bottom of page 7 of your report?
Correct.
Going to page 8 of your report, we have here at the top of page 8, does that show the last flight climbs recorded on either the defendant's phone or watch?
It does. It shows that there was additional flight climb events logged by the phone, which were not logged by the watch, at 17:03 and 17:33.
So these records indicate that at 5:03 p.m., the defendant's iPhone was with the person as it went up the stairs, and then at 5:33 p.m., the iPhone was with the person as it went up the 2 flights of stairs.
Correct.
And there's a time difference there. The start time is 5:33 p.m. and the end time is 5:38 p.m. For 2 flights of stairs. So that's roughly 5 minutes in between the 2 flights. Is there a way to explain that length of time?
The way the Apple Health data records this information, aggregates it, it tries to group events together. So in this case, it would have recognized that there was a flight climb on the phone at around 17:33:34 and a second one at around 17:38:33, and it just grouped them both into one event. It doesn't mean that it took 5 minutes to walk up 2 flights of stairs. It's just within that 5-minute period there were 2 flight climbs.
So if I have my phone in my pocket and I climb up a flight of stairs and then I spend a few minutes on that floor and then still with my phone in my pocket go up another flight of stairs, that's representative of what we're seeing here at 5:33?
Correct. There tends to be around a 10-minute window where it tries to check every 10 minutes, but it can reduce that window in a case like this where it sees that there's group data within a smaller time period.
And then further down on page 8, we have another table here, which seems to have combined data of heart rate and flight climb data. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you also look at web usage on the extraction of the defendant's phone?
I did, yes.
And what did you do to look at the web usage on the phone, and what time frame did you look at?
For web usage, I expanded the time of interest to early January to the 24th of January, and just took a look at any web history over that time. There was over 1,300 records recovered. I took a cursory look down that list and highlighted some which potentially were relevant to the case, and then provided the 1,300 actual records as a appendix report.
And going to page 12 of your report, looks like you started here on January 10th, 2023, is that correct?
That's correct.
And basically here you list various searches that occurred on each day between January 10th and January 24th from the extraction, is that correct?
That's correct. Broken down by day with the time of the search, the website that was visited, the title of the web page, and then the identifier in the database.
And looking at these searches, on January 12th, 2023, at 19:48, so that would be 7:48 p.m., is that correct?
Correct.
There was a search. In the title it says, "How quickly does Wellbutrin work for depression?" Is that the title? Is that what the user is putting into the search?
If I could see the search, please.
I'll zoom in on that.
So the top entry here we can see starts with https www.google.com/search !Q. The text after the Q, how quickly does Wellbutrin work, is what the user searched. Typically that is exactly as the user typed it, assuming that there are no auto-completions in place. In this particular case, it appears it was searched using Safari, so there's no auto-completion. That is essentially what the user typed in. And then the title, how quickly does I can't say that word, I'm afraid. Wellbutrin, thank you. Work for depression, Google search, is the title of the page which Google assigns.
So where it says after the Q, how plus, quickly plus, does plus, the user's not putting in those pluses, correct? Is that, what were you calling those?
So that's part of the attribute. It's how the data is encoded in a URL or in a web search. You can't have spaces within this address string, so they replace the spaces with the plus symbol.
So I type in how quickly does, and the computer adds the pluses in the space marks?
Yes, it's URL encoding to make it safe for the browser.
And then at 7:49, there's a search for Lamictal for depression.
Yes, and depression spelled with a B at the end instead of an N, which demonstrates that this is what the user typed in rather than a page that was being visited.
And then a few minutes later at 7:55 p.m., the user typed in Elavil for depression, correct?
Correct.
And then on page 16, on January 18th, 2023, at 10:25, we have a search there, ketamine for suicidal ideation, is that correct?
Correct.
And again, that's the user typing that in?
Yeah, again, those words were typed in by the user.
And then on January 19th, 2023, on page 17 of your report, we have symptoms of postpartum psychosis searched on January 19th.
Correct.
And again, so we're looking at, this is AM, correct? 9:24 AM that was searched?
Yes, the morning.
And then 9:30 AM, there's another search for psychosis symptoms?
Yes.
Going back to that same page, page 17, at the bottom for January 24th, we have here searches for Kids Miralax at 4:02 p.m. and Takeout 3V at 4:13 p.m. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then CVS Pharmacy at 4:47 p.m. Correct?
Correct.
There was also an Apple note that you found in the records, correct?
That was.
The Apple note, in your report it says it was created on December 22nd, 2022 at 10:23 a.m. Strike that. and then modified at 10:23 a.m. on January 23rd, 2023, correct?
Correct.
And are you able to tell what in the note was modified?
No, there's no real auditable log to look back and see how many times it's been modified over the course of its life. I was able to do some amount of recovery to see that on the day it was created, it started in a very similar way to as it's written on the 24th or 23rd of January, but the exact changes between when it first was created and the last time it was modified, we don't know.
And then you also looked at messages, correct?
Correct.
And were you able to compile the messages that were sent and received between the defendant and her mother and the defendant and her husband on January 24th, 2023?
I did, yes.
And were you able to arrange it using the tools that you use in a way that looks like you might see it on your phone?
Yeah, I tried to prepare it in a report which would be easy for any viewer to understand based on their own usage of text messaging.
So showing you page 19 of your report, what we have here is an enlarged version of what you might see on your phone, correct?
Correct.
And so is this in blue, is this Lindsay's phone?
It is. The messages in blue on the right would be outgoing. The messages in grey on the left would be incoming.
And so we have a photo being sent out from Lindsay's phone to her mother, and then a reply coming back, and that pattern goes on and on, correct?
Correct.
And then looking at page 22, you were able to do the same in terms of her contact with Patrick Clancy that day, correct?
I did, yes.
And so in gray, we have Patrick Clancy sending a message to Lindsay Clancy, and in blue is the response, correct?
Correct.
Were you, were you also able to look at the phone calls that occurred either incoming or outgoing to the defendant's phone on January 24th, 2023?
I did, yes.
And looking at page 27 and 28 of your report, first on page 27, just looking closely at the phone. Here in the report, it says 2024. Is that a typo? Is that supposed to be 2023?
That's meant to be 2023, yes, I apologize.
Okay. And so what we see here, can you just tell us what these columns are?
Yeah, the start time of the call, typically when it is answered by the recipient. The end time, when the call's ended. The metadata is information including who the call was to or from, how long the call lasted, and then the reason that the call disconnected, and then a record ID. So if you had the database, you could go in and find this record based on the ID number.
And looking at page 28, this is the continuation of that table regarding the phone calls, is that correct?
Correct.
And so what we're seeing here is at 17:33, which would be 5:33 p.m., there's an incoming call from Patrick to Lindsay's phone, is that correct?
Correct.
And it says duration 8 seconds, 0 seconds. Does that mean it was not answered?
In this case, it was an unanswered call.
And then at 5:34 p.m., roughly a minute later, there's an outgoing call from Lindsay's phone to Patrick's, correct?
Correct.
And that call was approximately 14 seconds?
Correct.
And then at 6:09 p.m., another incoming call from Patrick to Lindsay that went unanswered?
That's correct.
Now, you also, in a section you call media, you have some photographs that were taken from the phone with some metadata included, correct?
Correct.
What is metadata?
Metadata is information about that photograph. It could be the device that captured it, the time that it was captured, the location, information about the lens, the lighting, etc.
And so looking at page 29 of your report, just for an example, what we have here are 3 photographs, correct?
Correct.
And the metadata for the first one shows captured at South Shore Medical Center, is that correct?
Correct.
How were you able to determine that's where that photograph was taken?
The metadata of the photo included the latitude and longitude where the image was captured. I took that latitude and longitude and looked on Google Maps to see a physical address. In this case, it came down to the South Shore Medical Center.
And then the third photo here, that shows captured at the home address on Summer Street, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you looked at device usage. What is device usage?
Device usage would relate to how the user is operating the device. So when they have it unlocked, locked, what applications being used at any particular time. Essentially anything which is not a message or a phone call or results in additional data like that.
And looking at page 32 of your report, in that device usage log, it shows that the last time the device usage was logged was at 5:13 p.m., correct?
So this table relates just to the locking and the unlocking of the device. So the last time the device was unlocked was at 17:13:16. The device was locked again around 2 minutes later at 17:15:12, and the device was not unlocked again.
And so where the device was not unlocked again after 5:16 p.m., but we have a phone call being made at 5:34 p.m., how does that happen?
There is a setting within iPhones that allow you to use a locked device to call back numbers for missed calls. So in this case, Lindsay had the missed phone call that would have shown on screen as a notification as a missed call, and without unlocking the device, you're able to call that person back.
So you just press on the icon that shows up, you have a missed call, you press on that, and you can call the person back without unlocking the phone?
Correct.
And then what is application focus?
Application focus is literally the application which is visible on screen at any given time.
And at 4:13 p.m., 16:13, on January 24th, you've highlighted it in green here. What are we seeing there?
At 16:13:23 until 16:14:50, the Apple Maps application was being used, visible on screen.
Is it then used again at 5:13 and 5:14 p.m.? Or is that a different application?
So at 5:13 until 5:14, it was mobile Safari, so the mobile version of Safari, the internet browser, was on screen, and at 17:14:47 until 17:15:08, it was the mobile SMS or messaging application, which was on screen.
So do you just look at the part that's in parentheses to see what application was open or being used at the time?
Correct. What application was on screen at the time?
So for example, where it says 17:34, which would be 5:34 p.m., and in parentheses is in-call service, does that represent a phone call?
It does. That's the screen that indicates you're in a phone call.
And staying with the same page, page 34, you've made some notes here. Let's go out a little bit. Regarding Apple Maps, Safari, and messaging. So can you just explain what you pulled from the data for Apple Maps?
Yeah, Apple Maps was used to plan a route from the user's current location the home address, to a restaurant called 3V.
And that was at 4:13 p.m.?
It was.
And then in terms of Safari, you have the last unlock at 5:13 p.m.?
Yes, so the last unlock of the device was used for the purposes of viewing Safari, where PDLX was searched using Google.
And then in terms of messaging, what did you pull from the data there?
At the same time, or in that same device usage, so the device was unlocked, Safari was used to search PDLX, and then the messaging application was opened to send a message to Patrick saying PDLX liquid stool softener.
And that was at 5:15 p.m.?
It was.
And then did you create a timeline combining all the data that we've talked about into one timeline?
I did, yes.
I'm going to the last page of your report, page 43. Is this the last page of the timeline?
It is, yes.
And in that page, can you explain what we're seeing here?
Yes, so the very first column is the timestamp. The next few columns, which show typically colored, is related to the activity, which will become a little bit clearer in a moment. The row or the column in the center explains what the record is. So if, for example, we look at the 17-13-16 record, we can see a U, which means the device was unlocked in pink. That unlock event lasted until 17-15-12. So hence that entire column is in pink and shows the relevant lock event.
So here we have 5:13 device unlock.
Yes.
5:15 device lock, and there's this column connecting them, correct?
Correct. And then any activity that happened during that unlock time is then shown within the rows between. So again, we see Safari open at 17-13-16. Safari was closed at 17-14-47. Messaging was opened at 17-14-47. While messages were open, there was an outgoing message sent for PDLX. Then messaging was closed. Messaging was opened again, and messaging was closed prior to the device locking. So everything in the colored columns tries to show all of the events that happened at the same time or during that parent event.
And what we have here at 5:33 p.m., we had the flight climb started, is that correct?
Correct.
And flight climb ended at 5:38, so
Yes.
that line again connecting them?
Correct. So 2 flight climbs occurred during that time period.
And in between when the flight climb started and the flight climb ended, you have the 2 calls, the incoming call that was missed from Patrick and then the outgoing call to Patrick, correct?
Correct.
So the first flight climbed had already been started. Someone had already started climbing up a flight of stairs when that first unanswered call happened, correct?
So flight climb started is how it's listed within the database and within the software. But it actually, the flight climb time is when the flight climb has been recognized by the device as the device has already climbed up those stairs. So even though it says flight climb started, that's technically the time that the flight climb or the first flight climb had ended.
So where it says 5:33:34 flight climb started, that actually indicates the person has gone up that first flight of stairs already.
Yes, that indicates the phone has now realized I'm 3 meters higher than I was the last time I checked. Therefore, a flight climb has already been completed at that point.
And then the calls happen, and then the phone realizes at 5:38 that another flight has been climbed.
Correct.
I would move to submit the report as the next exhibit.
No objection.
All right, that report may be admitted.
Is it 266?
I have nothing further.
All right. All right, so members of the jury, remember I said it might be a little stop and start here today. This is one of those stops. All right, so we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come right back and we'll return for the cross-examination of this witness. Okay?
All rise, please, Your Excellency.
Jurors have exited the quorum. Court's in session.
All right, so the court will be in a short recess at this time. Thanks.
Court, all rise. This court is back in session. You may be seated.
Yeah. Counsel, we ready for the jury?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
All rise, please, jurors entering. Court is back in session. You may be seated.
All right, for the purpose of the record, we return back to the call. Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties present. Including 18 jurors.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Reddington?
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Whiffen, just a couple of things. One of the takeaways or question that I had is that you were talking about, in reference to the Apple Health data, fair to say that there's an issue as to the accuracy or reliability of the Apple Health data. You've actually done research on it.
I've done research on it, yes.
Okay, and one of the things that you did is back about a year ago, June 28th of 2025, you did a blog article on Apple Health accuracy and reliability, and it talked about using a pitch, which I think is, you guys refer to like a football field or something?
It was a rugby field, but yes.
And then you had somebody put the watch in their right pocket, somebody with the left pocket, and then someone else held it in their hand, you measured it, and things of that nature, right?
Correct, it was 3 phones.
Some of the things were off a little bit, but basically you put that in your report and you were able to draw your conclusion as to the accuracy and reliability, as you say, of the Apple Health data, right?
Correct.
Now, if someone is wearing an Apple Watch, is that what records heart rate?
As the heart rate is on the watch, yes.
It is on the watch,
Yes.
okay. And the steps that the person takes, things of that nature, the movement, is that on the phone or would that be on the watch?
That's on both the watch and the phone.
Okay. Now, if you have an Apple Watch and you test it or you examine it, would you be able to determine what information was actually recorded by the watch while the person was wearing it?
Yes, the information that's recorded within the Apple Health database does specify whether the information comes from the watch, the phone, or from a different device.
Okay. And in this case, if I understand correctly, the Apple Watch stopped recording data at, is it 5:23?
It was around that time.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to give you your report. Feel free to just refresh your memory or look at it or whatever helps you out.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. I just want to get the times down. I think you indicated that the watch stopped recording information at 5:23 p.m.
Yes, the last heart rate was 5:23:52.
52, okay. 5:23 and 52 seconds. And then I believe the phone and watch stopped recording at 5:38, was it?
The last usage of the, let me double check this. I believe the last usage of the phone to record flight climb data was at 5:38, yes.
All right, and after 5:38, it's pretty much blackout. There's no further information or recording, right?
Yes, not until like the phone was seized by police, I believe.
By the
but
police.
There's other activity, but appeared to be after the incident.
So the further activity would have been the following morning on the 25th of January, say around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning?
I ended my analysis on the 24th.
Okay. Well, so 5:23 p.m., the watch stops recording information. 5:38 p.m., both the watch and the phone stopped recording any information until the police picked up the phone apparently the following day, right?
Again, there would have been activity later on, but it wasn't usage, it wasn't health data. It would have been things like incoming calls. If
Okay,
there
so
were any.
when you went through the stair climbing and talked about the steps that were taken, the distance that was taken, that stopped at 5:38 p.m., right?
Correct.
Now, you don't know, when I say you, I mean as a witness, but also the police, whoever was wearing the watch, for example, if Lindsay's wearing the watch or carrying the phone, after 5:38, you don't know what was happening at 5:39.
Correct.
You don't know what was happening at 5:40, 5:45, right?
Correct.
Right up till 5:58, 6 o'clock p.m., right?
Purely the data on the device.
So it could have been, the phone could have been put down, the watch could have been put down, battery died, whatever those issues could be, and the person would still be going down the stairs, going up the stairs, going in the backyard, doing push-ups, whatever.
Correct.
You just don't know, right?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things, you're familiar with the concept of location data, right?
Correct.
And location data, one of the things you looked at or you're aware of would be from Lindsay's phone on August 23rd of 2022. Is that correct?
Apologies, August 23rd, 2022?
Yeah.
I didn't go back
Okay.
anywhere near that date.
You have tested and written blogs, though, on location information, right?
Correct.
You actually testified in the case of Commonwealth versus Victor Arrington in Suffolk Superior Court in Boston in support of the accuracy of this particular artifact or information, right?
Correct.
So you're a true believer that the phone does in fact record accurately significant locations on the iPhone, right?
It certainly can, yes.
All right. And are you aware, or if I was to approach you in your expertise, it's just a doctor's. That's all. You were talking earlier about latitude, longitude, things of that nature, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just to get familiar with, for example, significant location visits on Lindsay's phone, August 23rd, 2022 at 9:34. Do you know what that says or what that means?
The created time
Yeah.
of 9:34. That'd be when the device decided that the device had visited this location enough to consider it a visit.
Okay. Do you know what that location is? If I suggest to you it's a doctor's office, would you be aware of that?
I don't recognize it from the coordinates.
Okay. Thank you. This here you're familiar with too as well, right? The geodata with the latitude and the longitude?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the fact that you can take the metadata off of the information on the cell phone, one of which would be latitude and longitude. You'd be able to determine, for example, that this would be the Lindsay Clancy home, correct?
Yes, correct.
You've seen this before, right?
It rings a bell, yes.
Okay. I'd offer this, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objections.
Okay, that may be admitted.
Thank you.
Exhibit 267.
All right, thank you.
Now, you have your report in front of you, right?
Yes.
And that's captioned Digital Forensic Report, and it's in evidence, so the jurors are going to be able to review it in its entirety, right?
Yes.
If I could direct your attention to page 11, I believe. Yeah, page 11. Okay?
Yes.
And just so the jurors are able to acclimate themselves to it, that would be this item here that you went through with the district attorney, right? As far as the...
Right back to the trial. So I want to do first, ask you those questions since we had a long break, and then talk a little bit about the schedule and kind of today's schedule and kind of where we go from here. So first question, as you know, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be a fair and impartial juror? All right. Next question, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror in this case that anybody needs to bring to my attention at this time? Again, thank you so much for following those instructions. Today's schedule is that it may be kind of a little bit stop and start. Okay, so kind of bear with us on that. Might be a couple times you got to take a break just after a short amount of time, and then we'll bring you back in. It's just the nature of cases at this point. It's anticipated that the Commonwealth will close their portion of the evidence today. All right. Then at that point, the defendant has the opportunity, if they want to present witnesses and evidence if they want to. But remember, they don't have to. The burden of proof is always on the Commonwealth. All right. If the defendant offers evidence, then the Commonwealth is then given the opportunity to offer rebuttal evidence. All right. And so that's kind of the next phase that we're about to go into after the Commonwealth rests. And I'll go into a little bit more kind of how that goes, but I just kind of wanted you to kind of see where we are and where everything's going to fit procedurally as we go forward from here. So with that, we're going to return to the Commonwealth's case, and Attorney Sprague.
Thank you, Your Honor. Commonwealth calls Ian Whiffen.
Good morning. You sound swear that the testimony in the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury between the Commonwealth and the current project.
I would rather if I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right. Attorney Sprague, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, it's Ian Whiffen. IANWHIFFIN.
Where do you work?
Cellbrite.
What is Celebrate?
Cellbrite is a digital intelligence company working in the digital forensics field.
And how long have you worked there?
Since 2020.
What is your role at Celebrate?
I'm currently a customer engagement manager.
What does that mean?
I work with customers, helping users of our tools to understand the digital evidence that they're finding and presenting.
And what does digital evidence consist of?
Any information which is extracted from a cell phone, primarily or from a computer, which can be interpreted by the examiner and presented as evidence. It could be call history, messages, location data, media, anything that you can find from a digital device.
And could you just briefly describe your educational and training background that qualifies you to do this work?
Yeah, I've worked in IT for many years. In 2013, I began my career within Calgary Police Service in Canada as a digital forensics examiner. That was after spending approximately 9 or 10 years working as a patrol officer in the UK and in Canada. As part of my role as a digital forensics examiner within the Calgary Police, I went on numerous training courses. The Canadian Police College, they did an introductory course into digital forensics, and then further courses focusing on mobile data provided by some vendors, such as Blacklight or Cellbrite at the time, as well as further courses presented by the Canadian Police College, specifically about cell phones.
And Celebrate, the software produced by Celebrate, is that software used to extract and analyze data from cell phones and computers?
Yes, there are several tools within our catalogue. One of them is designed to extract as much data as possible from a cell phone. And then one of the other tools is designed to take that extracted data, decode it, decrypt it, make sense of it, and provide it to the user in a way which can be searched, filtered, organized, reported, and presented.
Does Celebrite's ability to access cell phone data continually change based on improvements that are done to the phones themselves?
Yes, there's constantly changes being made to devices which make it difficult to extract the data. There are changes being made to the software that means that the data that we extract is now different to the data that we extracted previously. A new feature, for example, or a change that's made by the software developer. So we're constantly changing our software to be able to extract that data and to decode more data.
Were you asked to locate Apple Health data and other information that could be relevant to the investigation of an incident that occurred at 47 Summer Street in Duxbury on January 24th, 2023?
I was, yes.
And what is Apple Health data?
Apple Health is a component of the iOS operating system which logs sensor data from multiple locations. So there's sensors built within an iPhone that monitor steps taken, flights climbed, for example, as well as third-party devices, Apple Watches, Fitbits, any other device like that. All the information is brought into the Apple Health application, aggregated, and made available for the user to see.
Roughly how many phone extractions have you done?
Since around 2013, well over 1,000 phones.
And how many times have you done analysis on phone extractions?
The analysis is part and parcel. So of those 1,000 phones or so which I've extracted, I've done analysis on all of those phones as well.
And then you've also done analysis on extractions, like in this case where someone else did the extraction and provided the information to you and you did the analysis?
Correct, yeah. Whenever I'm helping customers or users of our tools, they may provide me with the extracted data. So the data which I'm analyzing is more than the devices I've extracted.
And have you testified previously in courts about what you've done in terms of extracting and analyzing information?
Yes, I've testified in multiple courts around the world, approximately 28 times.
Now, you received a copy of the extraction for Lindsay Clancy's iPhone 13, correct?
Correct.
And when you received that extraction, Did you also want to know all the specific information about the case and the investigation?
Typically, when I'm working a case, I don't want to know a lot of detail. I'd rather come to my own conclusions based on the data that I'm viewing rather than note the intricacies of the case. All I require is an outline, the date that something happened, the time, who was involved, basic information.
And in terms of the extraction that was done on Lindsay Clancy's iPhone, that extraction, what type of extraction was it?
That's what's called a full file system extraction. It's essentially all of the data which is being extracted from the device that is still live.
And did you use specific tools to conduct your analysis?
Yes, there's the Cellbrite physical analyzer tool created by Cellbrite and also my own tooling, applications that I've been working on for several years.
So you've actually made your own tools that allow you to examine phone extractions?
Correct. There's some tools that I've been working on since prior to joining Cellbrite, tools that as an examiner I decided that I needed to create for myself and make available to others. And I still use those tools to this day.
And these tools that you used, are those the tools that allow you to examine and categorize the information, the data that you find in the extraction?
Yes, the primary point of the tool is to go into the data, decode it, provide it in a way which is easy to filter and search, but also additional tools there that allow you to dig into the data and look at the raw information, the databases, the files, all of the raw information, which is what our tools initially decode.
And did you focus in on a particular time frame when looking at the data on the defendant's iPhone?
Primarily, I knew that the date of the incident was 24th of January 2023, so that was the main focus of my analysis. But some of the data I was aware could be from further afield than that, so I took a look of, I think it was around 3 weeks before that, so early January to late January.
Were you able to look at the health data on January 24th, 2023 that was in the defendant's phone extraction?
I was, yes.
And what is health data? And how does it show up on a phone?
The user of the phone would be able to access the health data via the health application, where the information is broken down to explain how many steps have been taken over a particular period of time, the approximate distance that was travelled, the number of stair flights that were climbed. That data is stored on the device itself in a database. So as a forensic examiner, I can take a look at that database in its raw form, understand exactly where that information is coming from, and present it to the user of our forensic tools in a slightly more forensic-friendly method than the user of the application on the phone would see.
Showing you on the screen here, page 4 of your report. Looking here, we have a section here, heart rate data, is that correct?
Correct.
And you're able to see here